Hi, Puneet. How are you?
Puneet,
good afternoon to you all, gentlemen. Many of you, I know some of them. I don't know, so good afternoon to all of you. And thanks for coming at this podium, which had been inaugurated, God graciously, by CMMI, headed by Captain Zine and Captain Sasi Kumar and Captain Gyanendra.
Hi, Sasi. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I see Captain Vivekanand after a long time. I'm seeing him.
A very long time.
How are you, sir?
Can you hear me?
All well, thank you.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon, sir. We have a lot of things about you being a legend, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Nice to see you.
Likewise, sir.
वाईफाई इशू अभी भी है। हाँ हाँ हाँ, बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है ये।
Captain Gill.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
It's a pleasure to see Captain Gill over here.
Yeah, Captain Gill was there.
Yeah, we saw him, he was there.
Could somebody please confirm if I'm audible?
You are, yes, you are.
There's a slight breaking in the voice. Can you come back again?
You're very clear, Captain Sasi Kumar.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Gyanendra Singh, sir, please come in. How you copy?
He's frozen.
He's frozen. This is a challenge.
Sitting in the fridge, I think.
Gyanendra Singh?
Sir, am I audible now?
You're
Yes.
audible, but
Yes.
you're getting frozen at times. You're getting frozen at times. There is an unstable connection. I can see.
Yeah. Since it's past 4:30, thank you for that, sir. Since past 4:30, should we go ahead?
Yes.
Yeah,
please.
good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you, Ganendra, for giving me the pep up to start. I was just waiting for more people to join, actually. Me, Puneet, and Sasi Kumar joined quite early.
Yes.
Good afternoon once again. We start our CMI webinar on a very, very important topic, importance of hydrodynamics in ship handling. Our respected wardens, senior CMI members, members of the shipping fraternity, and all the participants. I will humbly request all of you to observe a 2-minute silence for our most respected and loved late Captain S.M. Divekar, who passed away yesterday in Mumbai. So we start with our 2-minute silence, please. Thank you. Now we proceed with our webinar. Allow me to introduce to you our speaker, Captain PUNEET MALHOTRA, Master Mariner. His formal introduction will be done by Captain Ganendra Singh. Before we move on, I request all of you to please keep your audio off and to make sure that we are helping you as best as we can on this topic. We have a chat box for you to put your questions. A team of the people are observing the chat box. They will take up your question during the question answer session. Feel free to drop the questions there and they will be put up to Captain Malhotra. Once again, thank you for all for coming over here. And I would now invite our treasurer, Captain Ganendra Singh, to introduce the topic, the speaker, and moderate the today's session, and also the question answer session. For Q&A, I'll be assisting from behind to Captain Ganendra. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to see a good number, 44 over here, participating on Zoom, and there would definitely be more on the YouTube. It's one of those rare days when we don't see the bright on Captain Bhasin's face in Divekar. And sorry that we are starting at such a note because we can't help it. He was such a personality that we can't really help it. But because we had scheduled this and we had to go, this was already postponed once and we had to go by it. So we are keeping on the schedule to go ahead and conduct this webinar with Captain PUNEET MALHOTRA. I will read out a little about Captain Malhotra. Very versatile personality, I would say. He joined sea in 1979 and has mainly sailed on board tankers. Of late, he has been sailing with fleet ship management in command for over 15 years. And if I'm correct, he's still contemplating to hang his boots, not yet. So we'll hear more on that from him. He has worked as mooring master at SBMs and served various offshore companies involving conversion, commissioning, and operations of FPSO and FSO in the capacity of OIM and mooring master. He has carried out various kinds of maneuvers for static and dynamic STS and tandem as well as dynamic moorings. He has also a lot of experience with respect to audits and inspection on board oil chemical tankers as well as gas carriers, preparing for CDI and SIRE inspections. To share his experience and educate the youngsters, he has created a YouTube training video, not one, but he has created a channel where he has posted YouTube training videos under the banner of Marine Quest Solutions. And he has been imparting training on ship handling, hydrodynamics, STS mooring, and maneuvers to various deck officers in various ranks across the world. He has also been a freelance journalist and participated in live debates on national TV channels. So congratulations on that, sir. He has a passion for entrepreneurship and journalism. He also plans to write a book. So let's go over to him and hear more about what he has been teaching and sharing for some time now. Over to you, Captain PUNEET.
Thank you so much, Captain Gyan. And again, I welcome all the guests at this podium. And once again, a note of thanks to CMMI, to Captain Bhasin, to Captain Sasi, to Captain Gyan, and all the people as a team who have been, affiliated in this particular industry, basically for us to let us know, much better and cohesively, because when we talk about from our industry point of view, we are not a very big industry from a global scenario. However, we are growing. And it's only like, once we start complementing each other at the same time, commending each other for the work, it certainly, makes the ends meet. One thing I'd like to add up what Captain Gyan had mentioned is the book I'm planning to write is basically upon, what we Sarah echo alpha, you can't Sarah echo echo. In other words, what we see, what we weather out in deep oceans, you, with due respect, I'm not prejudiced, but from the perspective of the show personnel, how they look at us, basically to clarify that. So I've got lots of data I'm trying to assimilate and assemble. Now, Captain Gyan, are you going to put the slide or should I share the slide? What's the modus operandi if you'd like to please?
Puneet, you can go ahead, please.
I can share the slide?
Yeah, you can go ahead and share the slide.
Yes.
All right, sir. Give me a minute.
In your control, yes.
Right, sir. Give me a minute. I will just.
So while you share the slide, I will just add a couple of lines which I had thought, but I forgot to mention.
Please, sir. Please, sir.
They say that the best form of learning is teaching. Probably all of us as master mariners, we learned about ship handling and hydrodynamics at some point of time. And in the 3 stages of learning, the first is to learn as a knowledge. The second stage is when we can write about it. And the third stage is when we can talk about it. So probably this will be something like a refresher for most of us. We may have read it or heard it sometime in the past, and now we'll hear it again from you.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for your kind words. And I was under the impression that you will share the slides. I'll have to go for it now. Start sharing. And before I proceed further, I would like to put into words while I'm trying to locate my slide. That is, when we talk about the hydrodynamics, what I have come across is, all the things what I have tried to initially, I was planning to write a book on the hydrodynamics. And during COVID, because I started this channel way back in 2020-21, when we had all the COVID constraints. So because of that, I thought first I thought of to write the book and, promulgate in the market, but then I thought, no, it's not worth it. It's not justified. Thereafter, I started broadcasting all the things on my YouTube channel, basically, to impart whatever little legacy I may have, and that is to be basically, construed or conveyed to all the, people in our industry. So I have the slide now, and I'm planning to share the slide. Okay, gentlemen, I hope you can see all of you can see my slide.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay. This is just not to advertise, but the banner under which I'm trying to broadcast my legacy, because you see, I'd like to take you a little bit into the history. When I started this channel, and I have put in lots of things, lots of thoughts, based my practical experience. I also would like to share that, besides being 15 plus years in command, I got off last vessel was October 2021. I've been also 4.5, approximately 5 odd years as a mooring master when I was working with SBM. So when I started this particular channel, I was trying to put all the all the aspects of the ship handling based on whatever practical or pragmatic knowledge I have, and which has been in a way inculcated into the youngsters, and the kind of feedback what I get is quite handsome, and that's the reason today I'm taking loads of lectures for masters and mooring masters world over. and it has, progressed quite handsomely. I come to my this slide, that is page number 1. One sec. Of course, the subject matter we all know is importance of hydrodynamics in ship handling. I've put down some facts as per the studies across what has been happening so far. Now, I'll read through this, of course, then we'll talk about it. What is the importance and the relevance of practical knowledge and practical seamanship and cognizance of hydrodynamics with respect to ship handling? Today, as we see, because this thought occurred to me, because I need to say we are all old sea dogs, like I have lots of my seniors and, hello, I'm sorry, I heard something. Am I being heard audible? Is everything okay?
Yes,
Captain Rajesh Kumar, can you please mute yourself, Captain Rajesh Kumar? Thank you. Sorry, Captain Malhotra, continue.
Okay, now it actually occurred to me when we go back to our era. It was 4.5 or 42 years ago when I joined sea, and my seniors who have been presiding over here. We had nothing much more than probably a radar. I recall my days when I was a third mate and I was a cadet, and I believe you may agree with me, at least when I was a cadet, when I joined in 79, we were not allowed to step onto the bridge. We were always doing deck work, and if we get a chance to keep a lookout, would have been an opportunity for us. And thereafter, after being out at sea for another 8, 9, 10 months, we were asked to come on the bridge, and we used to grab that opportunity basically because this was something we were always longing for, to be on the bridge, to be in the cockpit of our ship from that point of view. However, today when we look at it, we have all the state-of-the-art equipment, EGDIS, AIS, of course, radars, ARPA, everything. And I'm also taking lots of mentoring for quite a few companies. What I get to learn, or the brunt or the crux of the matter is that even once we have all the things, the only thing which has departed is the practical knowledge of seamanship. And that's what it occurred to me. Why don't I starting from my roots? Because when we build a good house or a big monument, if our roots are not strong, certainly it is going to have we'll face some sort of calamity which will not be able to sustain the external, the weather conditions or external forces. So likewise, coming to that, I'll read through the slide. As our old school teaching goes deep down in our roots, how we have been taught. I'm talking about our legends like Captain Brevari, Captain Joseph, how we have been taught brain is the best computer, which has so far, by and large, invented so many computers, supercomputers as well, and our eyes are the best radars. Of course, with proper coordination and having been to, put in thought as far as the situational awareness is concerned. I had broadcasted one of my last lecture was lecture number 40, where there had been a case study where the vessel, there was an eastbound vessel, container vessel, which was coming to Gibraltar on an eastbound course. She had to go to Gibraltar port, and there was a westbound tanker which was coming to pick up stores provision. The thing about it, should I say, the thing what happened was once Gibraltar Straits, we all know, is one of the busiest straits. The pilot tells the container vessel, which was eastbound, that you wait 4 nautical miles due southeast of Europa Point. And wait for the pilot call. Maybe there's a delay in the pilot. On the other hand, the gas carrier, which was proceeding westbound, she had to pick up stores provision in the Gibraltar Bay. She had a delay for the rendezvous, and she also proceeded almost at the same point in time. Now my question is, of course, I've been through that straits umpteen number of times. Had I been there, I would have asked, or rather intimated, the port state control. And mind you, there are 3 or 4 VTIs, because as per the NAIB report, the fault also part of a portion of responsibility also lies with the VTIS. Now, the master should have, probably proceeded due more northwest and stopped and notified all the concerned parties. Same thing the westbound vessel should have. But unfortunately, number one, it was a zero visible. Number two, both the masters, for some reason, I don't know why, were very much hell-bent upon or over-reliance on electronic media, and they were doing the collision avoidance thing on basis the AIS information. So that's where I'm coming from. Now, coming to this point of view, that however stating the above facts does not undermine the importance and or reduces the relevance towards the aids to navigation. But in order to optimize the usage, it has to be harmonized with knowledge of practical ship handling as well as being heat to particular importance of vessels' maneuvering characteristics. Now, as we speak, I believe it's all self-explanatory. The other point, what I've jotted down, I'm going to come back gradually from the, from the theoretical point of view to the practical aspect as we go down the slides. With present scenario, number of incident accidents which are being on rise as well as taking a toll, and it has an ominous global visibility, because when we talk about that in so many catastrophic incident, accidents which are taking place are basically what are, because, in last 1.5 to 2 years, because entrepreneur, I've been trying to also, carrying out few incident investigations as requested by the principals. Of course, it's strictly confidential, which I, of course, cannot share at this podium, but generic thing I can talk about. Therefore, it has, since then been more imperative and to have a proper understanding of the subject matter. Yes, sir. Somebody wanted to say something. Now, what are the main objectives and the purpose of imparting this training, which, as I already spoke and I've already been, I've already mentioned and also been, complemented by many other fraternities from our walk of life. They have been also looking into it from that perspective, and that is the reason today where I am and what I am, and I've got a podium where I'm conducting a value-added courses of ship handling, hydrodynamics, and STS ops. Now, after being involved in carrying out various incident investigations, collision, ramming, and drowning, CRG we call it, it had occurred to me upon coming with conclusions of the root cause analysis basis, the factual findings, highlighting the omni presence of human behavioral pattern and the aspects of human errors, have been made the mantra of exercising prudence towards the safety of navigation and due diligence completely redundant. In other words, our human behavioral pattern, of course, the human factor, including in cognizance, with complementation of all the electronic navigations, we are somewhere down the line lacking the basic conceptual thing of our the practical seamanship, and that is perhaps, in my own humble concern, may perhaps have been a cause of incident investigation. Many times it has been ridiculously very difficult to explain why this so-called accident, incident, grounding, collision, or ramming has taken place. Therefore, somewhere down the line, we mariners, especially the master, now I'm not prejudiced when I'm saying I'm also a master, the master and the deck officers in particular were found very much claustrophobically ignorant due to their over-reliance upon the electronic aids of navigation, by virtue of which not only we have been imbecile of the aspect of situational awareness, but relentlessly lost the control even over a simple situation. That's what I've been talking about earlier. Excuse me. The above not only puts an ounce on the professional capability into a sign of interrogation, but also leads towards a catastrophic loss of lives as well as financial losses to the owners, operators, and charters, respectively. Now, in return, what it happens? If I talk about being an Indian mariner, and if we do not have that inculcation, we do not have that sort of the level of competence, what happens? We lose out. We lose out from the job front, from the job perspective. And that's what I've mentioned. In return, eventually, also the affects our livelihood directly and or indirectly as far as our employment prospects are concerned. Now, issues related to vessels maneuverability and ship handling are among the most frequent causes of accidents at sea, because I've done lots of research on net and doing few. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've so far broadcasted, I think, around 5 or 6 lectures as NAIB. And of lately, if I remember it correctly, you can visit my channel. I was contacted by one of the renowned acknowledgement company. I will not name them, from the mooring masters, where the POAC and or the mooring master also made a mistake and there was a collision. I think this happened somewhere in off southward of UK, where during disconnection, the Suezmax collided with the VLCC during disconnection. Now, over there, when I talk about the basic thing was, I'll give you a little scenario. Both the vessels did the transshipment. After completion of transshipment, when the POAC or the mooring master was on board. Now remember, I'll state this. I'll state the statements of facts. The current set was, at that point of time, was southwesterly, and if I remember the figures correctly, which is there in my weekly lecture, 1.1 southwesterly, and the wind was, I think, around 6 to 9 knots southwestern. And what course our Mr. POAC, or with due respect, without prejudice, the mooring master chose was northwesterly. Now we can understand what and where the things were lagging or should have been catered to, and the due diligence shall be exercised by the master and or mooring master, respective. Therefore, the collision ramming drowning casualties account to about approximately 53% of all the accidents leading to the ship loss. The other thing, in turn, 70 to 80% of the collision ramming grounding casualties are attributable to the human and organization error, which is termed as HOP, a fact that indicates that these kind of errors warrant special attention. Now, the question what I'm looking for, again, going back to my roots when I joined C, and my respected, guests who have been very senior to me, probably they would be able to guide me more in the question answer session, because what I believe in, that none of us is an encyclopedia. Learning is a curve which never stops, and there can be a crest and or trough during that course of time. Now, according to some of the studies, the combination of ship's design and construction fault, which also accrues and impairs the maneuverability, and force majeure is also responsible, where it is not very large, but it has a portion of 20% of HOE casualty. I'll share with you one of my personal experiences. I was bound from Singapore to San Francisco, and once I crossed the Taiwan Straits, and I was in the Taiwan Straits and south of Japan, I was in Pacific Ocean, and the passage which is through the Aleutian Islands, before it used to be an innocent passage, but I believe probably, please correct me, someone, if I'm wrong, but what I know of, I think from the time of Mr. Trump's government, they started charging a kind of a toll tax. And, the vessel or the company needs to appoint a separate QI. Now, what happened? That once I was passing south of the EEZ of Aleutian Islands, I realized, because I was taking ocean routing services, and I was, constantly in contact with the ocean routings on synoptic basis. This I'm sharing with you my personal experience. I was synoptic, taking synoptic reports from the ocean routings, and I also told ocean routing, now I'm just going to knock off for 6 hours and kindly give me a telephone call back in case there is something, because there was a storm which was chasing me from east to west because of after recovery. Maybe because of the global warming, this was something a very different kind of gymnastic kind of thing. So when I got up 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, I looked at the SPOS. We had SPOS on board, and I found that the storm is approximately around 350 nautical miles, off me. At that point of time, my company, which was operating from Singapore, and I called them, but of course, it was nighttime there. I had stopped the ship, and I called up the US Coast Guard. Number one, I did not have the QI appointed for this particular passage. And I had called up the US Coast Guard. I stopped the ship, called the US Coast Guard, and I told them, look, this is a force meow. As for SOLAS, MARPOL, etc., it gives me, a kind of a legitimate access to enter into this water. However, just to have a confirmation, I would like to take your concurrence. The US Coast Guard almost, I think, for 1 hour, they took my interview, telephonic interview, including my license, everything. Of course, we all know they verify all that. Upon verification, I got a concurrence from the captain of the port zone that, okay, captain, we'll give you one-time favor. And I entered, and I said, because there, at that point of time, it was the lives on board, because I remember we had a crew of 25, and I've been always sailing with multinational crew all the way. And I had a crew of 25 odd people, including me, and to save their life and my life, and also save the property, and the cargo comes later, and environmental protection policy, and they gave me a waiver, and I, made an excess, and we were okay. Now, the thing I'm trying to put forward from this point of view is that ISM has given us lots of tools for masters to exercise their overriding authority with due diligence, exercising prudence towards the safety of navigation, safety of life, as well as the environmental protection policies. But somewhere down the line, I'm not being prejudiced. This all I'm repeating myself or trying to reiterate is based on the case studies, what I've been doing, the incident investigations I've been doing. I believe somewhere down the line, there is a big lapse. And that is where sort of thing which has been, reflected upon here, that according to some studies, the combination of ship design, construction, fault, that impair maneuverability and force layout is responsible for approximately around 20% of all HOE. As indicated below, the remaining 80% is attributed to such operational factors as the safety culture of the company, the organization, the human performance, and system. Of course, we all know during any incident, accident investigation, first thing which is highlighted as a human performance, then machinery failure, and then comes the force failure. But the point of contention, which is actually really been bothering me, is from the master is the final person, and I'm still a master and a mooring master, is exercising overriding authority legitimately, legibly, in concurrence, and to take into account the safety, security of the people on board, and again, environmental protection policies. I'll furthermore proceed to the next slide. Now, what are the main factors which affect the vessel's maneuverability, ship handling with respect to the hydrodynamics? Now, as we go down the slide, I will tell you, I'll share with you. Now, I'm not going to take any name. We all studied seamanship from, few books. When I started imparting these lectures, starting from lecture number 1, 2, 3, 4, I was in a way, challenge is not the right word, but I was in a way, asked upon that, how do you explain? And we were on WhatsApp with that British company, and I had to clarify all that, etc. Then they backed off, because the way I have construed or explained the hydrodynamics is many places it's not been talked about or taught in the books, and I'm not encyclopedia. If it is what I'm going to explain, please do correct me, sir. I will be very humble to accept that. Now, the resistance of ship's hull through the water, bow waves and stern waves. It did occur to me, because you see what I've been taught right from the cadetship or maybe my school days, that when you start thinking about some problem and you start legitimately and focus onto that, perhaps you have won the 50% of the battle. We all have studied why bow waves are positive and stern waves are negative. Now, the way I've explained, I'll give you a nutshell, then on my last slide, I will explain. Now, let's see, and bow, stern waves, they are there all the time. But the predominance of the effect is very much pronounced when the vessel is in the restricted waters. Now, when I'm explaining that, I would ask you, gentlemen, and if there's any ladies, with due respect, ladies and gentlemen, to be with me with a hypothesis for a few minutes. I will go down to this slide just to explain you, then I'll come back to this again. Captain Gyan, you all can see my slide, please?
We can see it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, why bow waves are positive, which I've written here, and stern waves are negative. Now, this is a narrow channel I've drawn here with the black, shores. There's a VLCC here, there's an Aframax here, and there's a mid-size tanker. Now, looking at the hypothesis, which I've also explained in my channel, if I pick up this VLCC, and hypothetically, I'm saying, hypothetically, if I pick up this VLCC and keep it on the table, I pick up this Aframax tanker and keep it on the table or somewhere, and I pick up this mid-sized tanker, keep it on the table. At that point of time, let's say, everything is stopped. Like in Hinduism, it says, "Shiv ji ki aankh khulti hai teesri to puri srishti band ho jati hai." This is just to explain, not to promote Hinduism. So, from that point of view, if everything is stopped, the water has stopped flowing, the ships have stopped moving, everything is stopped. At that point of time, I pick up this VLCC and keep it on the table. I pick up the Aframax, keep it on the table. I pick up the mid-sized tanker, keep it on the table. What do we see? Can I ask, gentlemen, anybody, please? With due respect, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. Somebody was saying something, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
There are no ships in the water.
Sir, you will see, Captain Vivekananda, sir, you will see nothing but a hollow.
Yes.
The hollow is nothing but an underwater volume of displacement, sir. You agree with me, Captain Vivekananda, sir?
Yes, that is correct, yes.
Okay. Now think about it. Now, there are 3 underwater volumes of displacements. The VLCC being larger because it's a bigger ship, probably fully laden to the summer dead weight. Now, the underwater volume of displacement as per the draft and the depth of the vessel is more. The Aframax, let's say she is also fully laden. Her depth, draft, and underwater volume of displacement will be smaller than the VLCC. And this vessel, being a smaller mid-sized tanker, will be the smallest. At this point of time, Now, when I start the reel again, sir, Captain Vivekananda, sir, what will happen when I start this thing coming to life? The water will first start gushing up into the VLCC void because of the vacuum which has been created due to the underwater volume of displacement. Until such time, the gradient between the VLCC and Aframax is equal. The Aframax will have a kind of a tendency to get drawn towards the VLCC due to suction effect if it is less than one length of the VLCC. The Aframax is within one length of the VLCC, which I'll show you in the figures also, Captain Vivekananda, sir.
Right.
Now, because the water is gushing into the void and we are moving, let's say we're going on a north course, 000 in this particular slide. So water is gushing into the bow, and it's receding from the stern, and that is the main reason the resistance is created, and that is the reason the bow waves are construed as positive, and this is how the hydrodynamical interaction works. And when I started this channel, that is the reason I've given all these thoughts. Like, for instance, I would humbly request all of you just a little participation with the concurrence of Captain Gyan and Captain Sasi and Captain Basu. Sir, have we ever given a thought that on a tanker, mid-sized tanker, big VLCC or Aframax, you can check the figures, sir. On a right-hand screw propeller, you will always find that the starboard tanks are slightly bigger on a right-hand screw propeller. That means in case you see the vessel will be either in laden cargo and or ballast. So she will either have ballast or cargo. So if I talk about, let's say VLCC, for example, if obviously we have double hull skin vessels now and centerline subdivision, you will have one port which let's say may account to, cargo tank accounting to say 9,000 cubic meter or 10,000 cubic meter. That is 100% capacity. The starboard tank will have maybe 1,050 or 1,100 cubic meter, like the way we come from forward to aft. Any particular reason, sir? Why is it so?
Are you sure they have different sizes?
Yes, sir. I've checked, I've verified. Looking at the Alice tables from all the ships, as I'm saying, until October end, I was sailing at the Masters. October end 2021.
I see. Okay.
On a right-hand screw, sir. I'm talking about on a right-hand screw, sir. Any particular reason, sir, you guys can think about? Okay, I'll tell you. Now, it goes back to your physics, sir. We all know about the banking of curves. When the roundabouts are built, the curves are banked, they're inclined to an angle. So that especially an unstable vehicle like a bike, when she's traversing through the roundabout, should not skid. Now, what does that banking of curve does? When the bike is traversing through the roundabout, it is generating a centrifugal force. Because of the effect of banking of curves, equal and opposite of centripetal force is generated, and that is the reason the bike does not skid. This we have learned from our 10th or 11th standards in physics.
Sir, we'll have to rush through a little. I see that quite a few slides are remaining.
I'm coming to it, then I'll come back so that all the presiding guests will have a kind of a coordination when I come back to that, sir. Yeah, sir.
So
give me 1 minute, sir. I'll come back to it. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
So I'm back to the same slide, Captain Jan. Now the thing is that we all have noticed, and I believe all my expert captains, my seniors, my comrades, on a right-hand screw, when we talk about the ship's maneuvering characteristics, as per the IMO resolution, which is posted on the bridge, whether it is a ballast and or laden, you will find on a right-hand screw vessel. When you're turning to port, one is because on a right-hand screw, the bow cans to port, we all know that. Number two, because the starboard tanks are slightly bigger, either ballast or cargo, the vessel automatically heels little more to starboard, and that is one of the reasons why the turning circle of a vessel projected in the vessel's maneuvering characteristics posted on the bridge, you will always find the turning circle is shorter on the port sides on a right-hand screw.
Yeah, that is correct.
That is so. What I'm trying to say, gentlemen, I'm not going with a hypothesis. All the research, all these things, I've done it myself. Like for instance, on a VLCC, small vessels are example. On a VLCC, you will always find the rescue boat is designated on the starboard side. Any particular reason, sir? On a smaller vessel, yes, sometimes port side. I've been on type 1, type 2 chemical tankers, sometimes yes, but I would say around 80-85% of times, and in particular, especially on bigger ships like VLCC, Suez, Aframax, or VLGC, you'll find that the designated rescue boat or FRC will be on the starboard side. The reason being on a right-hand screw, because when you're launching the boat, as per SOLAS, we can launch the boat within 5 to 6 knots when the vessel is, making way through the water, though engines are stopped because of quick release system. The idea is that the rescue boat should not get sucked into the transom and to the propeller in case you have to use the engine. Now, these are all hydrodynamics aspects. So, and these are all practical things which I have myself done the research. Of course, I'm not an encyclopedia. I do need you all guys' support and your, even with a pinch of salt to learn. And learning is a curve which has to be, one has to graduate every now and then. So the second thing is the water pressure exerted in the ship's hull. The hull shape and design. Of course, the CB, we know the block coefficient, if it is more than 0.7, the vessel will squat by bow. And if it is less than 0.7, the vessel will squat by stern because of the block coefficient and as well as the coefficient of fineness. The vessel's draft in relation to the depth of water, which is there, which we are talking about the factors which are affecting the vessel hydrodynamically. Of course, change of density. And when we talk about change of density, I have myself experienced on my last vessel. When the vessels are entering into the locks, I have experienced the Venturi effect. I have also explained elaborately because I myself experienced. I was in Ghent, in Belgium, and different densities of water, how do they work? And, I had to admonish the pilot that, we need to take so-and-so action. I'm not going to go into the details. And at one point of time, I had to take the con from him, even in the lock, so that no mishap takes place. Okay. The water vessel draft in relation to available depth of water, change in density, change of density and change of trim. Oh, sorry, ocean. Okay. Internal distribution of the weight, which of course affects the center of gravity and center of buoyancy. And as we all know, the center of buoyancy is nothing but, conversely speaking, it is the center of gravity of the underwater volume of displacement. And once, if they are aligned, the vessel will be even keel. If not, chin and trim by head or stern, whatever it is respective. Vessel's trim and heel, of course, all these things matter. The prevailing weather conditions, sea and swell, because I've taken a separate lecture on my YouTube, I think probably it's lecture number 3 or not, where I've explained in details how the UKC calculations shall be carried out and why sea and swell is to be added, etc. I've already explained. The vessel's windage area, as we talk about, I also, take a separate lecture to explain masters, mooring masters. I've also, I will not say it's my patent, but I've also promulgated, during SPM maneuvers, I've also done SPM maneuvers. there is a maneuver named catapult maneuver. Catapult maneuver is like when you are approximately, around 2 odd miles away from the SPM, you have a tug connected, and you try to test the tug. In other words, the tug is connected. My speed over ground right now is 0, and I give dead slow ahead. At the same time, ask the tug, which is connected onto my center lead arm, to pull me back. I see how the speed reduces. That means I'm safe and sound, which I explained in my different lectures. Pivot point, pivot axis. Of course, the predominance is there, sir. We are aware of it, but if any question, I'll take it, sir. Versus displacement, with displacement and underwater volume of displacement. Now, all I've been trying to look at it because you see, we all know, one thing is to work the problem the way it sees. One is you try to work it other way around and try to coordinate, and that is where I have given more attention and my cognizance to the underwater volume of displacement. And of course, vessel's main engine steering capabilities and left hand screw and right hand screw. And I've also handled the left hand screw disconnectable Aframax FPSO that used to be in Philippines in Palawan, Shell Malampaya oil field. That is the name of the place where I had to disconnect the FPSO every in a week at least once or twice because of the storms which are coming from let's say the Pacific. Just one sec, my computer battery is running. Once. All right. Okay. The hydrodynamical interaction between two VLCCs. So we'll see here now. There's a VLCC, this one, and this is doing 12 knots. This is in a narrow channel. What few things I've explained. SP12 and ST12 are the transverse and the longitudinal distance between two vessels. And the wind is coming from here, wind velocity, and the wind direction is shown here. Now, if we use, that is the reason I took you all, ladies and gentlemen, to the last slide to basically make you understand what is happening. If you use the same fundamental, of underwater volume of displacement, which will also self-explanatory, will explain whether it's a power cushioning effect or smelling the ground or, the banking effect. All these things also I've explained in my YouTube channel with the effect of Venturi effect in cognizance with the Bernoulli's theorem. So this vessel is 12 knots, the VLCC, which is overtaking this VLCC, which is doing 10 knots. Now, if we try to correlate the thing what we talked about, the particulars of this VLCCs are, one is VLCC1, which is, excuse me, I'll go back to the slide again. The VLCC1, which is being overtaken, that is her length, and what is her beam, 58 meters, depth 19.3, and block coefficient 0.8. VLCC2, almost same length, same breadth, and the block coefficient so much. The hydrodynamic interaction between two large vessels can't be neglected when two large vessels are close to each other in restricted waterways, such as in harbor or narrow channel. Of course, one thing I'd like to ask, sir, I would humbly request Captain Gyan, if anybody, like this is, I'm just trying to explain what I'm trying to say. We have been all, to many narrow channels, estuaries, and rivers. We have always heard a note of caution from the pilot, maybe the port control, that, okay, Captain, be careful, the tide will be ebbing from this time to this time. Please ensure that you're tending to your gangway and your mooring ropes. Any particular reason why nobody gives a word of caution when the tide is flooding, sir? Anybody would like to understand?
No idea.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. That is the reason I've drawn a little chart. We'll explain. Okay, now coming to this point, sir. The hydrodynamic interaction between two large vessels can't be neglected when two large vessels are close to each other and in restricted waters, such as in harbor and or the narrow channel. I will come back to this point, sir. Let me finish this slide. Otherwise, Captain Gyan will ask me again. And with due respect, I know we have a time constraint. But the spacing, now this is something which I have also experienced personally, and all these data I have put it based my practical and pragmatic experience. When the spacing between two vessels is less than 0.4 times the length of the ship. When I say length of the ship, I'm talking about length of the bigger ship. In this particular case, both the ships are of same length. So if both the ships are 320 meters apart from each other, if there is a space in the narrow channel, of course, that's a big sign of interrogation. If it is possible, we should do that. So if when the space is 0.4 times of the ship's length, the hydrodynamic interaction effect dramatically increases. And when the spacing between two vessels is 0.6 times, so if I say 300 meters, just for example, so 180 or 200 meters away, the hydrodynamic interaction effect reversely decreases. Why? Because if you use the same mantra, what I had shown you in my slide, the underwater volume of displacement, when I said that, the water has stopped, everything is stopped, and I put all the three ships here. Now see how the water is trying to fill up that gap. And this also depends on the speed. More the speed, the more time the vessel takes, the underwater volume of displacement takes more time for replenishment, especially in the narrow channels, because it's a restricted water. And because of that, if the vessel is even within 0.6 times the length of the bigger ship, if the speed of the vessel, in this case that VLCC which is overtaking is more, the other VLCC will experience a wobbling, a kind of a yawing in a bow, and of course little shuddering as well, if the speed of the overtaking vessel is more, especially in the restricted waters, and if the distance is approximately 4 to 6 times the ship's length. And of course depends on the width of the channel. Also, it can be inferred from the calculation result when the spacing between two vessels is more than 1.0 times the ship's length, the hydrodynamic interaction effect almost diminishes. Now here I may perhaps be coming from different schools of thought, because it does. But what if there is a ship which I have shown in this particular case? Let's say these two ships, let's say, taking presumably that these two ships are one length away from each other. But if the speed is more, again, the vessel being overtaken will experience horrendous effect of yawing at the same time with the Bernoulli's theorem. Now, if I don't know if I can use my pen pad, no, I can't. I'll have to go to my whiteboard. If you guys want, I can go to my whiteboard and explain. Now, if I take this part of the vessel curvature and the bank as a pipeline, and I see when the vessel water, when it is gushing through here between the bank and the ship side, what is happening? It has a high pressure at low velocity. But when it comes to constriction, it is opposite. It has a low pressure and high velocity because same amount of volume of water or mass of water has to traverse. And this also I've explained in details in my YouTube lecture. If I'm given permission, I can play that lecture. If not, I'm explaining here. And the Venturi effect also, let me answer. Now, the question what I asked, gentlemen, that is the reason I've drawn here upstream, and Venturi effect, I've talked about it. Now, let's say, Captain Gyan, you can see my cursor when I'm moving my cursor.
We can see.
Okay. Now, let's say this is the upstream. This is the place from where, this is the place from where the water is coming from, mountains, rivers. Let's say we are in a river. And it is receding down south towards the mouth of river. The water is already originating, is being generated because of melting of ice and lots of other factors, lots of streams, estuaries are combining and is gushing down from north to south. So obviously, when the datum at sea is less, the velocity and the gradient and the speed, of course, of the water which is gushing out from north to south will be higher. But when it is high tide at the sea mouth, where the river meets the sea, obviously the water is coming into the river, into this channel, into this river, and the water which is already coming from this the mountains into the river is causing a resistance to the water which is coming from the sea mouth, where the river and the sea are uniting. From there it is coming, it is already getting a resistance. That is the reason you will never find any warning or any strong streams or tidal streams during the flood tide. Of course, the water will fill up to its datum because of the tides. Like, if I recall, I've been to, of course, Hooghly River many times. I think it's about 15 to 18 feet, something, if I remember it correctly. But the water will start filling up gradually because it is already getting the resistance from the river which is flowing from north to south. Sir, have I made this particular thing clear, or should I elaborate more, sir?
I think so far so good. We have quite a few pilots and few senior teachers also over here. So
yes,
it will be better if we have some time for some question answer.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
And to make a change, I would rather like if you can just raise your hand or your virtual hand or speak out one by one with your questions. We'll make it a little more interactive rather than putting the question on the chat box and I putting the question forward. Let us hear some more voices.
Yeah, that is the reason, Captain Jan, because it is good. That's the reason I appreciate Captain, I think Captain Venkert, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you can pull the, so you can pull the share slide down, and then we'll be able to see.
You want me to share the slide down? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No. Just remove the shares, and
sorry. Okay, my apologies.
We'll be able to see each other.
Okay. 1 minute.
And
1 minute.
Open to questions.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
I would request the people over here who have got more experience in ship handling and hydrodynamics to put some questions forward so that we can make it a little interactive before we end the session. Captain Rajesh?
Captain Gyan, there is one on the chat. We'll take that first from Captain Harjit. If you permit me, I will just read it out to you.
I think it's not a question.
He says clarifications. He wants more clarifications.
That was about 20 minutes back, because I think when he was explaining, he was he has done.
Okay, fine.
That he has already done.
Oh, great.
So specific questions.
By the way, Captain Hardeep Singh is my mentor also. I sailed with him in Mobile. I was his third mate. I was second mate. I was his mate also. Good evening, sir. If you can hear me, sir. Welcome on board, sir. I didn't see you earlier. Thanks for your heads up, sir.
Captain Puneet, if I may start with a question, so that it opens the floodgate.
Yes, sir.
In a narrow channel, when two vessels are coming head-on and crossing each other.
Head-on or crossing? Now, you are mixing up.
Sorry. Yeah. What I meant to say, when they're coming head-on, then, and the width is really limited for only the two of them to cross in the sense pass each other. Cross doesn't mean cross in the correct sense. Then how do they approach? Like, are they supposed to be heading for each other or moving away from each other? Keeping the other on the bow?
Now you have a two jagged edge. As what you gave me a situation that it's a very restricted width of the channel. Okay. And Number two, the vessels are, passing each other in a, coming down situation. You must try to do, as safe as possible when you're, let's say, it depends. What size of ships are we talking about, Captain?
Like, I'm just thinking of a situation where we have actually experienced in narrow channels where two vessels can safely pass each other, right, on a reciprocal course with safe distance from shore. They are within the void channel, but the void channel would accommodate only the two of them. So when they're approaching each other, how are they supposed to approach? Head to head or slightly on the bow, or how to go about?
See, that's what I'm saying. And now let me take your question from all the aspects. So in other words, so that we don't miss out. Number one condition that it is a channel where you have land on both the sides. I'll come to buoy also. It's a land. When both the vessels are approaching, when you are coming, you must alter very little, because if you alter too much, let's say, this vessel is coming, if I have to alter to starboard, right? If I have to alter, this is my vessel, if I have to alter to starboard, I'll gradually maybe 3, 4, 5 degrees alter here. And this will also alter, say, about 5, 6 degrees because of the restriction of the channel. Because if I alter too much, I will be experiencing bow and cushioning effect. By virtue of which, I will be, in a double whammy where I will be perhaps be able to clear the ship, but I may come into the paraphernalia of the bow and cushioning effect on the shore side. So what I will do, if I'm in that situation, I've got a situation head on. Of course, you've not specified much the ships, I'll say mid-sized tanker, because taking a logical conclusion, nowadays most of the ports have got this restriction where two large vessels cannot even come under, let's say, coming down because of this hydrodynamical thing. Probably they'll delay one ship and then such time she passes from the narrow width of the channel. But in case, if she is passing and let's say mid-sized tanker, I'm taking that perception, and I will alter, say, few degrees, 5, 6 degrees to starboard if I'm on this vessel, and she may alter 4, 5 degrees to starboard, we'll pass. Of course, at that point of time, because the situation you gave me, the width of channel is not much, that is the best I can do. And of course, control the speed. The speed has to be as far as practicable, reduce speed so that the effect of hydrodynamic does not enhance because of the suction effect, what I've explained.
Right. Thank you for that. Open to others, please.
Captain Puneet, this is Captain Vivekanand. Can I speak?
Sir, you are a legend, sir. Big salute, sir.
Thank you. It's a case study. I'd like to know how you react to it. A ship coming out of Bangkok, going out to the port, narrow channel, and pilot on board. Ship is almost at the end of the pilotage area. There's a sharp bend in the river, and the pilot reduces speed to take the bend. And when he does that, he loses control. The tide takes charge, the flooding, very strong flood tide takes charge and pushes the bow to the shore. Now, he should not have reduced speed, but he did to maneuver the ship. But tell me, in a situation like this, they avoid running aground. What would you have done?
Let me get your question correctly, sir. I've been to, with a Suez Max to Mapta port next to this place. Anyhow, I understand your question. Now, as we all know, once, rule number 6 says it doesn't give a thing whether it's a 6 knot, 8 knot, 10 knots. It has to be situation.
Right.
Now, you are saying the vessel is departing from Bangkok port, and I've been there through, the SPM and all that, of course, are there. And there's a, what is it? Southwesterly turn, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
because I've been through into the SPM with the Suez Max, and I used to do the STS operations outside there. So of course I know there's a TSS there. He's coming down, and there's a bend because you come from north and then you turn southwesterly or westerly course, what I recall.
Westerly.
Yes, sir. What I can say in this condition, if the traffic is not causing me concern, no fishing vessel I will definitely go at as practicable as possible at little higher speed, because when you reduce the speed, the external effect of sea swell current enhances. Now, when we talk about this, sir, I've already, excuse me, sir, I've already mentioned in my quite few lectures is basically when we talk about the ship handling, it's man and machine interface. When I say man and machine interface, like I have, my ship, her maneuvering characteristics, her ship, steering, and maybe a different types of rudder. Those are the constant.
Yes.
The variables are sea, swell, current, maybe some other aspect are the variables where I cannot control. Now, how can I optimize the usage of these adverse things into my advantage? That's what is the mantra of ship handling, sir.
Right, absolutely.
So what I would do, sir, I've been through that bend many times. I used to take a Suez Max. As long as I don't have a problem with UKC, so that is something.
Yes.
And if I recall it correctly, it's been a few years because I was on coastal ship, because what happened at that point of time when I was on Suez Max, Thai master to take course, I was training simultaneously a Thai master for STS and ship handling both. And then we used to go to Rayong, it is like Sumapta Pool for STS anyhow. So if the UKC is not a cause of concern, then I will not reduce my speed, sir. I will go maximum safe speed so that I can traverse through the bend, so that the external effects do not enhance on me, and especially if the effects are wrong, that will definitely implicate my position.
I believe the pilot actually reduced speed because of the squat effect and UKC.
That's the reason I said if the squat is not the concern, if the squat is not the concern, then I may not reduce speed. I will go at the safe speed. What size of ship are we talking about, sir? What size of ship was that?
20,000. Small
20,000. 20,000 small cargo ship. Okay, fine. And was she laden or working ballast?
Load laden.
And what was the wind condition, sir? What was the wind condition, sir?
There was no wind problem. It's only a
very
very
strong problem. Very
strong,
strong, maybe. Then it is a cross current. Then obviously, I will. I'll tell you. I used to take a Suez Max in Dubai. What is that place called where you have those? I forgot the name of that boat. I used to take only Suez Max. Anyhow, so I used to request, and I'm taking the laden Suez Max, which is drawing 17.5 meters, and the depth of the channel, the buoyed channel, because I have to go approximately 12 or 10 or 12 miles up, then I pick up the pilot. And my condition used to be that I am going to enter the channel, only you give me a clearance that there is no other traffic traversing through that area.
Right.
And I used to go at a speed of, because there it was, the current is very strong coming out of channel. I used to, of course, always stem the current. I never used to take the current on my stem, on my stern. And I used to go maybe a speed of approximately 12 odd knots with the laden Suez Max. Why? Because of the effect of the cross current. If I had to reduce the speed, it would have been very difficult for me to maintain her in the middle of channel, sir. Yes. And of course, maintaining UKC around approximately 1.5 meter approximately, what I recall, sir.
Right. Okay, understood.
So I would not reduce the speed unless, of course, I have a problem with the UKC, which I already stated earlier, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I hope I've done well, sir, with your question.
Yes,
if I have made a mistake, please correct me, sir. You're my senior.
No, you're right. No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I see Captain Rajesh Nambiar very thoughtful. I was expecting some question from him.
No, it's fine. Just listening and learning. I would just like more clarity on what you said about the boats being on the starboard side and the starboard tank. I was not very clear about that. If you don't mind, just.
Sir, I'll explain you. Now, I'll tell you. That's the reason I explained a little bit of physics. Of course, we all have science students who graduated. because, it's a tanker, even a bulk carrier, you will have the hatches which are actually trimmed by stern when I'm talking about bulk carrier, plus slightly trimmed to starboard also. You can note this from the ship's particular or the from the naval arc, whatever they have designed, because all these things I've done my own studies. Now, when I say Captain Nambiar sir, on a right-hand screw, this I'm talking about the right-hand screw. Of course, left-hand screw it will be opposite. On a right-hand screw, you will find that the starboard, whether it's a cargo tank or the ballast tank, basically what I'm trying to say, the weight on the starboard will be more. Why? Because, and you will agree with me, gentlemen, all of you ladies and gentlemen, that the turning circle of a right-hand screw vessel, when you are looking at the poster, will be shorter on the port helm when you're giving either laden or ballast, both of them, with respect to the starboard. The reason being, when you have more weight, let's say you are either laden or ballast, let's say you're laden. So obviously you will have more cargo on starboard, but then the vessel is designed in such a manner that when you say 98% here, 98% here the cargo will be more starting from forward to aft. The vessel will be upright, of course. The vessel is designed like this. The idea is when you're taking a port turn on a full ahead, harder port, what happens? She has a virtual, heel to starboard because the weight is acting here. And that helps her to shorten the turning circle besides, the bow canting to port. That's what I'm saying. Or right-hand screw.
Okay.
You have a look, Captain Rajesh sir. You have my number, or if we shared by Captain Gyan, you please come to me. I'll explain you with the facts, with all the facts.
Yeah. Sure.
Any doubt, please? Because you see, today, with due respect, one thing I did not want to mention, I've been also training Sri Lankan Navy on vessels maneuvers. I've also tried to initiate with the Indian Navy. The things are going on. If they say, okay, I probably will be going and teaching the commanders, because ship handling is my passion. It is my passion. All the maneuvers, I'm not saying that, again, I repeat myself, we are not encyclopedia, but this is my passion. That main yaar isko karke dekhte kya hai. Of course, taking all this safety. Of course.
And the logic of that, keeping the rescue boat on starboard side, you said this.
Thrust is there, no? When you have a right-hand screw, and suppose you have on a big vessel, I said big vessel, VLCC, Suez Max, Aframax. I've seen some of them, a rescue boat on port side. And of course, as per SOLAS, first thing is the rate of launch has to be faster. Of course, that I'm not going into it. But you think about it that you're on a VLCC, Captain Rajesh Saab, and you have to carry out a launcher, FRC, rescue boat. And if your FRC is on the port side, as per the SOLAS, that you should be able to launch the FRC with the. So you are dragging, making it through the water. And on a VLCC, bigger ships I'm talking about, is on port side because of bigger transom. There may be effect of getting her sucked towards the propeller. Whereas this is on a right-hand screw. Whereas if it is on the starboard side, because the first turn, it will be thrown away because of the transverse thrust. Rajesh sir, please.
Yeah.
Again, because transverse thrust by the propeller.
Yes, sir. Yes, on the screw. Because you see, when you're going for a rescue, as for so much, you can launch the boat within 5 or 6, 7 knots, whatever it is. Please correct me what I'm quoting. Now, if somewhere down the line you may have some case or something, and your rescue boat is on the port side, what will happen? You have a port propeller on a right-hand screw. Of course, but what if with the engine? you have launched the boat and the thrust, maybe, to straighten the ship. What will happen? The waves generated will throw the rescue boat away from this starboard side transom. Whereas in port, you may have a suction.
Okay.
Nini, please share your thoughts, sir.
No, I understood what you're saying about. You give a head on that. You want the boat to be moved away.
Yes. And you're not going to give stern. Of course, when you give stern, the equation reverses, of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If there are no more questions, can we request the CEO to propose the vote of thanks?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Captain Bhasin, Secretary General, respected wardens, senior CMMI members, members of the shipping fraternity, and all the participants today. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks today. I would like to thank especially Captain Puneet for giving us such an interactive session. The subject is known to all our masters here. Thank you, Puneet. I would like to thank the media.
Thank you, sir, for offering me this platform, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We are glad that it went very interactive. Excellent. I would like to thank the media, Marex, Seajob, Bandarkar, Shipping, Sailor Today, Saga Sandesh, and Maritime Destination. Special thanks to Nangya for the Sailor Today YouTube. Of course, I have to thank Captain Jha, Master, who's always been very encouraging in all our webinars. Captain Bhasin for welcoming the participants and for his overall support. And not to forget, of course, Captain Pradhan, who's always been behind everything. Captain Gyan for introducing the speaker, moderating the session very well to get the best out of the speaker, and conducting the Q&A. And of course, to thank Sudhir Palka for the overall support. Last but not the least, I would like to thank each and every participant today. I would say that we have a good number today. Thank you all for today's session.
Thanks again to all the guests. Thank you, gentlemen, for listening to me. I hope I made some sense, but then we are mariners together. We are fraternity.
What is the name of the YouTube video, please?
Marine Quest Solutions, sir. Marine Quest Solutions. I keep on uploading the channel, the lectures. So far, I've uploaded 40 lectures, and as and how I get a little time, I keep on doing that, sir. And it is free for all the people. I have students world over. They come and ask me the questions, and I try to help them, sir.
Thank you.
Can I get today's content on that YouTube channel, sir? Marine Quest Solutions.
Marine Quest Solutions. It is in the beginning. It was in the beginning of the slide also, but you go to the YouTube search engine, just type Marine Quest Solutions, sir. You will see me there.
So today's session or some contents which you have presented in today's session. I'm sorry, I entered a little late. I believe I missed the thing. So I want to make up. Can I get the things from there, contents from that YouTube channel somewhere, whatever we discussed?
YouTube channel, I think Captain Sasi will be able to tell you regarding today's content, but I thought you were asking me about my channel. That's what I was saying.
You're saying I'm more interested. I'm interested in contents. Can I get it from your channel or somewhere? Which tell me the place where I can get it from.
My content, you can get it from my channel, Marine Quest Solutions, and today's recording, I think Captain Sasi will guide you with that.
Okay.
Sir, today's session will be available on the Sailor Today website, and the link is already in the WhatsApp. You can click that link and watch it anytime.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. It was a great session. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Captain Master.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bhasin, sir. Thank you, Captain Bhasin, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see Captain Homi Treasurywala here with us.
Yes, sir.
And I saw Captain J.S. Gill also. Though he didn't come, I couldn't see him, but he's there online.
Yeah, he was again among the first few people to log in. When I logged in, he was already there. Yourself, him, Captain Sashi.
Okay, sir.
I'd
all
been
the best.
also there. Yeah. ठीक है sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.